We've got a ton of people who are totally cut off because they live in a hermetically sealed, airless world where they're really, really worried about getting super sick, which I'm sympathetic to that. But that doesn't mean that people who are 25 and at no risk at all should pay the cost for that. I get that you're concerned, and I respect that, and I have relatives in that position. I can't overstate how much I'm not mocking and how seriously I'm taking those fears, because I think they're grounded. I'm not making fun of anybody. We all have to decide, what we're afraid of and how we're going to respond to it. What I think is completely unacceptable is destroying the next generation of Americans because you're afraid. I think it's cowardly. I think it's disgusting. I think it's one of the great crimes ever committed. I do think that. It's totally cowardly. It's totally, I'm 52, so, I'm more than halfway there. And I'd rather leave tonight than see my kids destroyed. Any normal person would. Any normal person would hesitate for 1 second. Not 1 second. Well, I could live another 30 years and play more golf. Or my kids could thrive. I'm going to just have to take the weekend to think about it. No normal person thinks that way. And if you're in charge of a country, you have to think of the country first. It's actually not about you, you narcissistic creep. It's not about you. Oh, I'm so afraid. Okay, you're so afraid. I don't judge you. We all have irrational fears. We all have actually some rational fears. There are things to be afraid of. That's all right. But you can't lead if you're afraid. That is totally disqualifying. Terrified people shouldn't be in charge of anything. Terrified people? So this is like the most obvious thing in world history. No country puts terrified people in charge. It's like there's no animal species that does that. Oh, the whimpering dog's going to lead the pack. That's a good idea. No! Whimpering dog gets to the back. He follows the big brave dog. That's how life is. How far are you from nature that you think it's a good idea to put a terrified old guy in charge of Corona? What? No, I mean it. So here's the upside. This can't continue. Nature writes the rules. We don't. And Joe Biden certainly doesn't. Nature writes the rules. Period. We're not in charge of those rules that are immutable. They apply to the Romans. They apply to us. These are the laws of nature. We are subject to them whether we want to be or not. We can't change them. We can't transition out of them. We can't identify as being exempt from them. Because they don't change. They don't care what we think. Nature, God, is outside of our control. We can only respond. That's it. And we can respond wisely or we can respond foolishly, but we can't pretend we're in charge of it. You spend the night in a snowstorm in your boxers, you're going to die. You can't identify as warm. It will kill you. No, it's true. So that's not like some crackpot right-wing theory I thought up this afternoon. Oh, I'm speaking a turning point. Better torque up the politics. That's like the truest thing there is. And if you forget that at scale, like as a country, it just doesn't work. It will never work. I don't care what, people with degrees on Twitter are telling you. That's just not real. And it will snap back because it has to. If it can't continue, it won't, and it won't. So all you need to do is get as far away from these people as you possibly can so you can stay sane. I mean it. I mean it. That makes a huge... I've done it. I'm not going to get into my weird personal life, which is totally not weird. The one thing I'll say about it is, I opted out of that. I don't want to be around that stuff anymore. And at my age, I'm just not going to be. I'm not going to be around that. I'm not going to be around it for one more minute of my life. And I have a flexible job, and so I'm not around it. I'm not around any crazy people. I'm around people who disagree with me. That's totally fine with me. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I don't mind being disagreed with. I'm not always right. I'm often wrong. But I definitely don't want to be around crazy people who want to wreck stuff. Absolutely not. I want to be around happy people who want to build stuff. And there are only two kinds of people. You're either creating something beautiful or you're tearing it down. That's it. That's it. You're either creating something beautiful or you're tearing it down. And all the joy in life is in creating something beautiful, whether it's relationships or children or your work product. That's the joy right there, is in making stuff and hoping that it lasts. And if you're around people who are like taking joy and kicking it down or spray painting it, just move away. Like this is not a rational thing. This is a spiritual battle. You're not going to win them over through argument. You don't want physical conflict with them. That's horrible. Violence is horrible. I mean, I guess sometimes it's, unavoidable. But if you can avoid it, you should, because it's bad. You don't want to hurt people, Just get away. And now you can. You absolutely can. Not all of you can. Some of you are tethered to this or that obligation, or there are still places without internet service, I guess. But I look at these cities and I'm like, why isn't everyone living on the shores of Lake Superior in like an abandoned Finnish settler village? What, taking saunas every day and like looking out on the steely gray water and feeling happy. And yet they're in some like super depressing parking spot driving 20 miles to, why would you do that? And getting yelled at and flashing signs on the highway telling you to wear a mask or get your injection or whatever. No thanks. I don't want to be around that at all. And you shouldn't either, and you should run away. You will feel much happier, and you will see much more clearly. Some of you have to deal with it, but some of you don't, and you shouldn't. It's a continental country. The whole interior of the country has been abandoned. It's unpopulated. Take it back. It's your country. You can live there if you want. It's all right. And you should. And then I would recommend kind of waiting it out a little bit and build like a real community. I don't know, it's kind of nice to know the guy at the grocery store. The ladies at the post office. That's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing, actually. It's a good thing. And the more of that you get in your life, the happier you'll be. And then you can wait for the dawn, which is coming. Thank you.